evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please get yourself situated and allow me to accompany you into limveld on this expedition, where I attempt to take down full gore, the champion of Nightglow, here in Elden Nightreign. As you can see, I've chosen to undergo this particular expedition with Guardian, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite Nightfarers in the game. I must confess, at the start of this game's life cycle, when it first released on day one, I thought that I would certainly almost exclusively play the Executor. However, after constant deliberation and testing and optimization, I decided to maybe put him on the back burner, and I explored other Nightfarers. I explored Iron Eye, I played a lot of Raider, dabbled in Revenant, and I'm loving Recluse. I must admit, I'm loving Recluse. I'm determined to enjoy Duchess too, by any means necessary, but our playstyle is not yet clicking with me, and I'll see what I can do. I'd like to do a Duchess run in the future, and do a voiceover over that run, like I'm doing here. Ultimately, if I had to pick one Nightfarer that is my absolute favorite, it would probably be the Guardian. And that's unique because the use of shields has never struck me as something even, remotely interesting. However, there are a number of factors about the Guardian that have just made me happy that he exists. His unique, enhanced shield capacity is honestly so much fun and makes the use of a shield feel like a skillful act, almost more skillful than timing your rolls. He has a mechanic where you can charge halberd guard counters for increased damage and posture damage, which I think is just magnificent. And this guarding playstyle is further emphasized by his rather stubby dodge. I must admit, before the game came out, I had no reason to suspect that different Nightfarers would have different dodges, but I cannot lie, I was pleasantly surprised. Because the different dodges just add so much to the personalities and playstyles of these Nightfarers. I think it's a great design choice. We are a few minutes into the run, and I've just been talking about Nightfarers right now. Let's actually focus on the run. I've chosen to do a voiceover instead of a live voicing of this run for a few reasons. The biggest reason is that I don't have to deal with controller sounds by doing a voiceover. Subsequently, I won't be distracted by doing a voiceover after the fact either. Doing commentary is a genuine skill, and like any skill, you can practice it and become better at it. As of right now, I simply do not believe myself to be in the proper caliber to do a live voiceover without getting distracted, I fear I would simply go silent and lock in, focus too much on my own gameplay, and I wouldn't have a proper balance of commentary there. For these reasons, I've decided to do a general voiceover after the run is already concluded. I will avoid spoilers for the end of the run, but the ultimate outcome of this expedition is really of no concern. The important thing is that I help you relax. Now, here, I would like to make it clear what particular relics I'm using on the Guardian. I have watched other people play Elden Ring Nightreign without showing their proper builds for the characters they are using. And in the comments of these videos, people can be a little bit grumpy if they're unable to properly mimic the builds of the people that they're watching, which I understand. You see someone who beats a boss you're struggling with, you naturally wanted to know how they did it. This is completely understandable. The relics I'm using, however, one of them is only available after you beat the Everdark Sovereign version of Gaping Jaw. Yeah. Which is, frankly, kind of a shame. I'm using, the relic in particular that I'm using is a Grand Luminous Scene that becomes available after you beat the enhanced version of Adele. To be specific, it is the one that grants you a stone sword key, which I used earlier in the run to defeat a Crucible Knight. It gives you a stone sword key in addition to a permanent increase in power after defeating an Everjail prisoner. I have defeated 2 Everjail prisoners right now, and each individual buff is 5%, so right now I have a permanent 10% increase to my AR. And about at this time in the run, I was genuinely so happy to see Crucible Knights at the castle. There are different variations in this of this castle. If you don't have Elden Ring Nightreign, you might not know why I'm so happy to be seeing a relatively difficult enemy here at this landmark. The reason I'm so happy is because out of the 3 variations, the pot-throwing trolls, the Banished Knights, and the Crucible Knights, the Crucible Knights are by far the easiest variation of the castle, as is quite common, as is a quite common rhetoric. The troll variation of the castle is, surprise, surprise, fucking obnoxious. Trolls are throwing magical pods that leave a lingering fire area of effect upon where they land, and the eyesight on these trolls is such that they can throw the pods from what seems like 12 astronomical units away with pinpoint accuracy too. If you're trying to fight one troll, the other troll will just come in and beat the shit out of you. And goodness gracious, these trolls come with their own brigades of exile warriors to make your life a living hell. Banished Knights do not help each other by throwing intercontinental ballistic missiles at you from the other side of the castle, but they still have the exiled knights to just make your life bad. Additionally, the movesets of Banished Knights tend to be crazy. The Banished Knight who dual wields greatswords is notorious for being a kind of twisted fucking psychopath who will chop you into minced meat and giggle while doing it. He just doesn't stop attacking. It's ridiculous. However, these Crucible Knights are much, much better. Not only does each individual Crucible Knight give you something along the lines of like 30,000 souls, or 37,000 souls when you kill them. Just a ludicrous amount. They're also slow, weak to fire damage, which is a really common damage type, and they don't have backup. You can methodically take your time and just kill a bunch of Crucible Knights. In the gameplay here, I didn't go on a killing spree in that main castle area. I only killed a few Crucible Knights, but the reason being is because Guardian is a defensive class. Had I been playing Raider or Wilder or, even Duchess, I probably would have been able to kill more, but Guardian's entire game plan revolves around just kind of stonewalling your enemies to death. So that is what I did. And I'm happy to have the Everjail Prisoner permanent buff, because if I didn't, then I would have probably taken too long, and I wouldn't have enough time to even, deal damage to that second Crucible Knight with the large spear. I would have been at a big disadvantage. Because it's so important for me to have stone sword keys and fight Everjail prisoners, I come up here to the minor castle, which almost always has a stone sword key in the chest guarded by either the Abductor Virgin or the Lord Sworn Commander. These little militia men in hats with the spears and the daggers are more threatening and frankly more annoying than the main boss. There I just accidentally used my whirlwind in the wrong direction. It was quite embarrassing. And I finally got to switch out my main weapon for this Pest's Glaive. Not the best thing. I'd much rather have preferred like a Gargoyle's Halberd or a Knight Rider Glaive, something that scales really good with strength, but at the same time I don't really know how the scaling of weapons work in Nightreign. It's quite peculiar. Usually, just from what I've seen in the codex, I've skimmed over the weapons. It seems like weapon categories themselves have certain scalings, and Guardian has pretty good strength scaling, so ultimately I am happy to just have Halberd. It's a good weapon category, it deals good posture damage, and Guardian is meant to deal posture damage anyways. Moving on, focusing on this big boss coming up right now, the boss at the end of Night 1. I remember during this expedition I was like, oh fuck, we gotta fight Wormface, and I was foolish, and I kinda got, narrow-minded. I have not yet fully memorized all of the Night 1, Night 2 bosses for all of them, so I was fully expecting Wormface, and I saw a Gaping Dragon, and honestly, I was so relieved to fight Gaping Dragon. Wormface is such a miserable experience. No matter what Night Fairy you're playing, none of them are most ridiculous satanic swarm of people that you got when you're like fighting worm base on night 1. It's just hell. It's actual hell. You get ganged up on and the crab comes and pummels you. And there's big rats who have more boys than an entire mountain range. You just can't knock the rats over. It's miserable. And you gotta run around and death plates building up and it's just awful. Luckily here we are with Gaping Dragon. And Gaping Dragon is just like a oversized baby. He does like 3 moves. And he's so slow, and there's no reason to fear this guy whatsoever. So me, with my big shield, my big egg-shaped shield, and my glaive, ultimately the Gaping Dragon was no match for me. Although we had a sizable health pool, it doesn't particularly matter, because we're the Guardian. I must admit, the Guardian is not the best class in Elden Ring, Nightreign. But out of the 8 Nightbearers, I would probably put him at the number 5 spot. I'm planning on making a whole tier list, even though I don't know why I would. It's pretty unanimous as to what people think about the Nightbearers at this point. But, you know, still, I'd like to just give my 2 cents. I might have a unique opinion, and it would be fun to do a little derelict, just like a quick 6-minute video like that. So I might do that eventually. We shall see. First things first, I immediately book it to the Everjail after night 1, but I kind of get blocked by this regal ancestor spirit. And goodness gracious, with the amount of baby vomit he spits up and the amount of tantrums he throws with this stupid antler move, he is anything but regal. Just there, I used my ultimate to get some quick damage in, however, in flicking my right stick up by complete accident, I lock onto a bat some couple 20-30 yards away, and it flings the Guardian out of range of the Ancestor Spirit, and I miss. Now, I remember feeling very upset and angry at the time. I was like, holy shit, Guardian, no, don't fight the bat. You should attack the actually, important enemy in front of you. At this point, I wasn't too upset with my damage, but I was upset with my stamina situation. This opponent, the Ancestor Spirit, usually isn't too hard, but with Guardians lower than average DPS, in addition to the amount of vomit he throws on the floor, which deals insane damage, and it's just area denial, I found myself getting stalled out by the Ancestor Spirit, and that's not good in this game where every single second, every action is vital and important. And there I miss again, which just makes me start fuming, because that's just annoying. My dive bomb has failed 2 times, but alas. When the Ancestor Spirit died, I immediately calmed down. And then I was like, holy shit, you didn't even have the audacity to give me, like, something good. I ended up picking then some more curved sword. Then I went to the Everjail to get another Everjail prisoner buff, and it was just Godskin Apostle. Between the Godskin Apostle and the Godskin Noble, I think the Apostle is better because the Godskin Noble, despite having a pretty easy to comprehend moveset, he has an instant belly bump move where he will just thrust his fat stomach outwards, which is, to me, completely unreactable as a move. And since it's a black flame move, it does percentage-based damage over time after you get hit by it. Not a satisfying, not a fun, enjoyable move to get hit by. Also, the Godskin Noble rolls around like a fucking bone wheel skeleton enemy from Dark Souls 1, and he just doesn't stop. It's maddening. It's torture. And I'm upset that such a move was allowed to exist. In the time it took me to describe why I disliked the Godskin Noble, I defeated the Godskin Apostle. Then I made my way up to this lightning ruin. The reason I wanted to go to the lightning ruins is because Volkor, the Dark Drift Knight, is weak to lightning damage. And as such, I was hoping for a electric Nightrider glaive or some other weapon. Usually, I'm not entirely miffed or, upset if I don't get a weapon that the boss is weak to. For example, if I'm fighting Gladius and I don't have a holy weapon, I'm not upset. I just shrug my shoulders and go, okay. We just don't have a holy weapon. If I'm fighting Gaping Jaw, if I'm fighting Adele, and I don't have a poison weapon, once more, I just shrug my shoulders and go, that's fine. It's Adele. It's not a big deal if I don't have a poison weapon. However, Volkor, holy shit, the Dark Drift Knight Volkor, if I don't have an electric weapon, I'm shitting my pants. Soiled, brown, terrible shit everywhere. It's maddening, it's ridiculous. Volkor's lightning weakness is just essential. If you don't have lightning, he will put spears into the ground and hinder your ability to maneuver. And that twofold, that super depressing movement restriction plus his explosive spear minefield that he initiates. It's just so problematic. Which is why when I didn't get a proper electric weapon, a good electric weapon from that ruin there, I do remember feeling a large amount of pain in my soul. But that's okay, because we are Guardian, and because Guardian is quite a solid character, I wasn't screaming, I wasn't fearing for my life. Had I been playing someone, a little bit worse, had I been playing like Revenant, I would have been like, oh, okay, we forfeit our chance to win already. Luckily, we're playing the bird, and the bird is pretty awesome. So here I am, back at the castle, and I decide to fight the rooftop boss. I checked earlier in the run and determined that the boss in the sewer was Elamar of the Briar, also known as the Bellbearing Hunter. I was like, fuck that. And then I look up at the roof hoping for an easier boss, maybe like a Erd Tree Avatar or a Tree Sentinel, just someone easy on the roof of the castle. But instead, it's perhaps one of my least favorite mini-bosses from Elden Ring, the Ulcerated Tree Spirit. And I'm doing okay damage, but during this fight I'm constantly thinking to myself, is this worth it? He's constantly draining my health, he's doing so much damage to me, and I'm not doing enough damage to him. If I had maybe 10 more minutes, then this would be worth it. And then I get that critical. I think to myself, damn, maybe it is worth it, maybe I can do it. And I can't come to a conclusion. Eventually, this ulcerated tree spirit will take my life, and it will confirm that it's not a good idea to stay up here. And after such a horrific, occurrence, my confidence in the integrity of this particular expedition begins to wane a little bit. It's not nice to waste time in Nightreign. It's even a worse feeling, wasting time knowing that it's just completely your fault, and there was something you could have done about it. There, as you just saw, my life ended, and I was forced to come to terms with the realization that it's not a good idea to fight this boss. And I'm just thinking right now about everything that's going wrong in the run. I'm like, darn, it's night 2. The ring has closed in a little bit. And, I'm still running around with a measly blue weapon. This blue pest's glaive. It's not electric, so I don't have a leg up against the Dark Kryptonite full core. And, frankly, my damage output is not where it should be. That's a big problem. Nevertheless, I'm not going to back out. I'm going to see a third at the end. And I believe I will either fall or I won't succeed. And I'm at this point in my mind, I'm just kind of relying on my capacity, my mechanical skill to carry me to victory. I'm thinking in my head, okay, what bosses am I good at fighting? Well, I do know that I'm very good at fighting Adele, Baron of Night. In fact, I fought him many times, as I really do like his Everdark Sovereign version. I think that's an incredible fight. It's so much fun. And after I conclude the recording or the voiceover of this video, perhaps I will go and fight him again. Maybe with the Duchess, I'm not particularly sure. Or I will fight him with Iron Eye, or I will fight him with the Raider again. I just really like Everdark Sovereign Adele. But completely regardless, back to what I was saying, I'm really good at fighting Adele, and I'm probably the best and most comfortable with fighting full core. Before the Everdark Sovereigns, I liked all the bosses. I liked all of them. They were all good bosses. All of the Night Lords were good, of great quality, but my favorites were Volcor and Libra. And between those two, I was really comfortable fighting Libra. I was really comfortable fighting Volcor. Technically, I feel comfortable fighting both of them, but more so Volcor. I fought the Dark Kryptonite many times, and because I really need to upgrade a weapon. But nothing's as easy as it seems, and I make a fatal error pushing forward in my left stick with this jump, and it's just terrible. I waste so much time in the storm. My health dwindles so fast, and then I get cock-blocked by this little bitch mongrel idiot in the tunnel. And I wish I could stop time just to punch him repeatedly with my knuckles and make him feel pain, but time is of the essence, and I need to make it to the storm. Or rather, I need to make it out of the storm and into the safe area. I'm thinking to myself, at this point, holy shit, what is my life coming to? This run is so screwed. I don't have a proper weapon to deal with full core. I don't have anything electric. I should be level 15 by now. I should be max level, but I wasted some time fighting that ulcerated tree spirit at the top of the castle. I fucked up that ascension jump out of the mines, and now I'm forced to use my healing flasks when the fight hasn't even begun. And then I see this beast man, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna be fighting the Nameless King then. And I'm not sure if that brought a smile to my face or it just made me want to jump off a bridge, because I can fight the Nameless King. I've played Dark Souls 3, and he's not hard. But the reason I like the Nameless King fight is because he's not easy either. He's a very respectable, very challenging, very well-made boss. One that I like a lot, and you know, in Dark Souls 3 you have, what, 15 Estus flasks? And here I am, just with my Pest's Glaive, my shield, and it's like no healing capacity whatsoever. I want to save all of my warming stones for full core. I don't want the preliminary boss to, waste all my resources. But then he arrives, and I look at my bird, my precious, precious bird, and I'm like, okay. So I enter my steel guard, only to realize, okay, so the Nameless King deals damage through the Guardian's improved blocking capacity. It doesn't help that the squirmy hitbox of this dragon just nimbly avoids all of my, or most of my halberd strikes. There I just miss an attack to his legs. And it's just, it's a big problem. It's a very big problem. The stress will impact my ability to play the game properly. That, for example, should have been a very easy dodge, but I miss it because I am full of anxiety, full of nerves. I'm getting some minor damage in, but most of the time, just like that, I end up getting smacked by the Nameless King. I just want to get to exterminate his Drake, and enter the second phase of the fight, which is a much easier phase. Well, maybe not easier, but it's much more intuitive of a fight. A little man with this weapon, a humanoid battle, is much more easily comprehensible than a man riding a dragon with so much mobility, breathing fire and throwing lightning spears at me. Here I am, and I'm about Nameless King. And here I am, getting hit. The Nameless King had a reputation in Dark Souls 3 for hitting like a fucking truck, and goodness gracious, he does that too, here. I must admit, this boss is still a lot of fun to fight. It's not like I'm enraged or tilted or anything. I'm just not playing as well as I could be playing. And also, when you fight Nameless King in Dark Souls 3, you don't have the Guardian's little hop dodge. As you can see, like, he doesn't roll, he just hops around. And he has fewer invulnerability frames than other characters. Because of that, I end up not being able to position myself properly, and I just fucking die. With no healing resources, and having already died, I'm wondering to myself if I'll even be able to make it to full gore, or if the Nameless King will just kill me already. It's quite scary. So I put my shield away, and I just focus on my instincts. I think to myself, I beat the shit out of the Nameless King so many times. As I get struck by lightning, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I used to be. I'm quite upset that he used one of my free revives, my wind increases. I'm thinking to myself, okay, we can do this. I just have to log in. I just have to really channel my inner Dark Souls 3 player. Roll, don't get greedy, and attack when you can. But at the same time, there's this anxiety in me that just wants this fight to be over. I just want to move on. I just want to fight full gore. I don't want him to do these unintuitive moves like his lightning call, which I can never seem to dodge properly. Had I been in a clearer state of mind, I would have been so much better, but there's a mixture of stress when you're so low on health. There's a mixture of stress and also sadness. You tend to think that you're not good enough, and you go, oh darn, just hurry up and kill me already because I'm so worthless. However, I'm doing very respectable damage, and all of my negativity goes out the window when I see his posture break, and I get that critical hit and he dies. Then I realize, okay, I've made it through the Nameless King. I can do it. I can actually defeat Fulgor. This is where I ascend into Spirit Shelter. I take a deep breath, and I move forward. I upgrade my weapon. Finally, I think to myself, finally, I have a purple weapon. Still, it's not necessarily a electric weapon, but it will get the job done. If I play well, I can beat him. Here I am, in Fulgor's arena. Fulgor, the champion of Nightglow, descends from the sky, crashing down into the desert, and we battle. Fulgor is such a fun Night Lord to fight. I love this battle. I remember that there was a theory going on before this game even released, thinking that this boss was actually the Sunken King from Dark Souls 1. And I liked that theory. I wanted it to be true because that would have been so cool, but Fulgor, champion of Nightglow, this is fine too. Not only is it fine, it's a brand new boss with brand new lore. And frankly, they did a really good job. Fulgor attacks here again he does this move, which normally you could break him out of that, of this minefield bullshit by using some electric, but I don't have any electricity in my arsenal, which is a problem. I'm stonewalling all of his attacks. Here he's doing it again, and it makes you walk. You're so slow, you can't roll, and these spikes just shoot up from the ground and just beat the shit out of me. I'm so helpless, and I'm scared. Then he grows his second corrupted arm, and I'm just terrified. He's beating the shit out of me. But then I get to compose myself. He does some more moves that I'm familiar with, you know. In his repertoire of attacks, most of the moves he does with his right arm, I'm so comfortable dodging. But then when he takes out that fucking cancer corrupted arm and starts wiggling it around like a serpent, then we have an issue. After that second riposte, I put down a warming stone, and then I'm like, holy shit, he's gonna do this move. This big charge is colloquially known as the doing HVAC move. I remember screaming to myself during this part of the fight, holy shit, he's doing HVAC. But I managed to survive the HVAC without dying, and then he gets his arm going again. I think to myself, okay, when I try to run away from the arm, I end up dying, so let's position ourselves close to him, let's go inwards. And it seemed to work a little bit better. I catch him out again with my ultimate, managing to avoid most of the bullshit that comes from this Holy Spear minefield move. And I deplete some of his health. After this, I'm so confident that I can defeat him, so I switch to a two-handed method and try to get a stylistic finish, because I remember that my Ash of War is Raptor of the Mists. I pay dearly for it. But at the end of the day, Fulgor is no fucking match for the bird, and I win that fight hands down. I gotta be honest, the Nameless King was harder. Well done, Fulgor.